Good evening. They stole more than £2.5 million worth of perfume, alcohol, cigarettes and electricals destined for duty-free. But tonight a gang of Gatwick Airport workers have been jailed for a total of 35 years. It was their job to load planes with the luxury goods, but they were caught on camera filling plastic bags on an industrial scale. Martin Dowse has our report.
Their job was to load passenger planes with goods to be sold in flight. But here are two members of the gang, Richard Beaumont on the left and Cesare Kozabutsky on the right, caught on CCTV loading bags for themselves in a conspiracy to steal from their employer on a massive scale. In total, just under £2.5 million worth of cigarettes, alcohol, perfume and electrical goods was stolen in this way from Gatwick Airport during a 7-month period in 2013. When it was seized, the evidence filled a room. The offences coming to light when the company which supplies the airport with in-flight goods noticed huge stock discrepancies.
It was basically one night shift team that were all working together. They may have stolen with different people on different nights, but they all knew what was going on and they all worked with each other. So this was very well planned, very well organised, and they're all involved.
Sussex police uncovered the conspiracy and arrested 15 people on the same day at addresses mainly in Sussex, Surrey and Kent, but elsewhere in the country too, with 80 officers involved in the operation. These are 12 of the gang, all convicted at Lewes Crown Court of conspiracy to steal and money laundering. 2 others were convicted of conspiracy to steal and 1 of theft. Their jail terms ranged from 2 to 4 years.
The judge summed it up by saying this was theft on an industrial scale, £2.5 million worth of goods. They had to double bag the items because they took so much. It was weighted down. One bag wasn't going to be enough to hold all the goods, and this happened night after night.
In total, 35 years of prison time was handed out to the gang, who were as organised and as brazen as they were greedy. Martin Dowse, ITV News.
And you can see more on that and all of today's stories on our website. Just go to itv.com/Meridian. The death of an elderly woman whose body was found alongside her husband's at their home on the Isle of Wight is now being treated as murder. A post-mortem has found that Jean Irwin, who was 83, died from neck compression. She was found alongside 77-year-old John Irwin at their home in Shanklin on Monday. His death is not being treated as suspicious. A tattooist from Bournemouth has been jailed for 23 months for a string of sex offences on women. Some of the assaults took place at 45-year-old Stephen Abraham's studio on Commercial Road, which is no longer in operation. He also pleaded guilty to secretly filming women. He's been placed on the sex offenders register. Rail companies could be fined if their trains are more than a minute late. At the moment, services can be 5 minutes behind schedule before they are penalised. Just 65% of trains are currently on time. Investigations are continuing into what caused a large fire at a house in Poulner in Ringwood. Flames engulfed the property yesterday morning. At its peak, 25 firefighters were needed to tackle the blaze, and smoke could be seen right across the A31. 3 bungling armed robbers have pleaded guilty to a robbery that could easily have ended in tragedy. In April, thieves raided a jeweller's in Winchester and held a gun to the owner's head. Diamond rings and watches worth more than £200,000 were stolen from the shop in Parchment Street. But the thieves didn't account for it being bin day during their getaway and got blocked in. Chris Morn takes up the story.
Jeweller John Quayle is in the process of rebuilding his business after one of the most traumatic incidents which could befall any owner. This was the scene in Winchester on April the 15th, with part of the city centre sealed off after 3 men robbed Justice Jewellers. They were armed with a gun which was held to the jeweller's head.
Right in your face, yes. So it was a scary moment.
A white van reversed into Parchment Street here in the heart of Winchester. One man stayed in the van. He actually moved the vehicle to let a postman through, while his 2 crash helmet wearing colleagues raced into the jewellers and put a gun to the head of John Quayle.
There was one gun, and it was mostly in my face or by my head throughout the process. The firearm itself, you know, it fired. It did go off in the shop. It was an imitation of a more powerful gun.
They came out of the jewellers with £220,000 worth of diamonds, rings and watches, but their getaway turned into something of a farce.
They'd chosen to rob us on a Friday, which is bin day down Parchment Street, so yeah, the getaway van got stuck behind the bin lorry and the armed response are all over them.
Today at Winchester Crown Court, the trio, Domingo Incita, David George and Joshua Tilloy from London and Hertfordshire, admitted robbery and possessing an imitation firearm. They were remanded in custody until they're sentenced next month.
Excuse the pun, but you know, justice should be done.
And tomorrow Mr Quayle will be joined by friends and clients to celebrate British watchmaking, his own well-being and getting his business back to normal. Chris Morn, ITV News, Winchester.
In just over 8 hours, the polls open for the EU referendum, and on the final day of campaigning, Remain and Leave big hitters spent much of the time they had left here in the south appealing to voters. With more, here's our political correspondent, Phil Hornby.
You wait all morning for a campaign bus and two come along at once. The Remainers in Oxfordshire, the MP for Witney on home soil. The Leavers in Portsmouth, a whistle-stop trip through the shopping centre for Surrey Heath MP Michael Gove.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. How's
Lovely
it
to meet
going?
you. I think it's going very well. I think we're getting lots of nice support from people here.
Discussing the hottest of political potatoes.
We need to do something about immigration. We'd like our country back.
A lot of people here in Portsmouth think if they vote Leave, migration will fall. That's why they're voting for you. Will it really fall? By how many? Give us a number.
Well, if we vote to leave, we can take back control of the numbers who come here. It will be up to the British people to decide. I think one of the great things about leaving the European Union is that it will be up to us to decide how many people we want to come here, what skills we want them to have, and also how many refugees who are fleeing persecution we want to give a safe haven to.
So vote Leave and immigration could go up.
Vote Leave and immigration will be controlled by the British people in the interests of this country and in the generous spirit that's always characterised Britain.
And from the Prime Minister, a final appeal to voters.
We've got the Green Party, we've got the Liberal Democrat Party, we've got the Labour Party, we've got a Conservative government and Prime Minister, we've got the trade unions, we've got business, large and small, all saying we are stronger, we're safer, we're better off if we stay. Stronger because if we leave, we'll diminish our country and our ability to get things done in the world.
And with that, the talking stops. The politicians and their buses have done their work. Now it's up to us. Phil Hornby, ITV News.
And of course, we'll have all the coverage as the referendum votes are counted here on ITV. That's from 10 o'clock tomorrow evening. In other news, a £10 million gift from a former cancer patient is to pay for a new treatment centre in Dorset. Robert White from Poole lost his battle with the disease last November. The bequeathed money will pay for a new satellite radiotherapy unit at Dorset County Hospital in Dorchester. The 62-year-old businessman sold his lifetime collection of vintage motorcycles to friend and US chat show host Jay Leno.
We're in the process of building a new cancer centre out in West Dorset on the Dorchester site, where we'll be able to deliver radiotherapy to patients in the west of the county who would otherwise had to travel all the way to Poole. This wouldn't have happened without his donation. Obviously an enormous responsibility to do what he would have wanted us to do with that money, which is to pay for things that the NHS cannot afford.
A couple from Bournemouth have made it to the final 10 in a nationwide Beach Hut of the Year competition. People can vote now for Serenity on the Sea, owned by Liz and Martin Baum. Martin says he used the hut to write a best-selling books and to relax in when he was recovering from health problems. Well, let's find out if it's going to be Beach Hut weather now. I doubt it, but here's Simon.
From cold fronts to camping, driving through Europe, Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening. Well, for some of us, it's going to be a very stormy night. Thunder and lightning not out of the question, particularly the further to the east you are. That's where the heaviest showers are, and a Met Office weather warning covering us for the risk of some localised flooding and an awful lot of surface spray. But a lot of dry weather too, mild and muggy overnight, and certainly the rush hour tomorrow morning might be a bit tricky for some of us. But a lot of dry weather around as we head through tomorrow. There'll be some decent sunny spells. Temperatures again quite warm and clammy, up to around 21, 22 degrees before the next lot of showers get going tomorrow evening. Few more showers on Friday, but thankfully they will be lighter.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And that is it for now. Remember, we're back during Good Morning Britain from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Amanda will be here. But from the late team, thank you very much for your company this evening. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.